How to build a volunteer ministry leadership team. I'm just going to give you 6 things. If you are leading as a staff member or as a volunteer yourself, you're leading a ministry, then I really hope that these tips are going to help. Firstly, do you need a leadership team? Hey, good question. I'd say if you've got less than 10 volunteers helping you in your ministry, once again, whether you're staff or a volunteer yourself, less than 10, that is your leadership team, more or less. It's going to be hard if you've got 8 people, 8 volunteers. It's always a bit strange to have a leadership team of 3 or 4 out of 8. I think what you're best to do is to actually gather those 8, treat them as your leadership team. We'll talk more about preparing your leaders, preparing your volunteers for change. So sure, do that, talk about changes coming up in the future. But if you have less than 10, that is your leadership team, so you already have one. If you've got more than 10 volunteers, so say you've got 15, 20, 50, 100, and you're a staff member or a volunteer ministry leader, then you need a leadership team. I would say to you that any overload you're experiencing, feeling like you're carrying too much, any frustration with getting those 15, 20, 100 people going in the same direction, the most effective step you can take without knowing your circumstances, I'd say, is to build a leadership team. It is the most effective way to mobilize your volunteers, is to have a core group, develop a core group, because you can't invest in 15, 20, 50 people, 100 people to a depth that you need to as a leader. That's why you need a leadership team that you can invest in and you can empower to invest in the rest of your volunteers. So, the second question, who should you have on your leadership team? You've got less than 10 volunteers, that is your leadership team. You've got more than 10, you need one. Who to put on there? I want to say to you, trust your gut. Trust your gut. When it comes to who to put on the leadership team, be very intuitive. If someone or something doesn't sit right, pay attention to it. And I also want to say experience is overrated. So don't think so much about experience. We'll talk in a second about who to look for, but don't worry too much about experience. Worry more about who people are. And, the other thing, as you're looking at who to put on your team, someone being disappointed that they're not on your team is the wrong reason to put them on the team. Okay, if you've got someone and you go, if I don't put them on the leadership team, they're going to be really disappointed. Whoa, you probably have to do some really hard thinking, get some wise counsel, and go and talk to someone, sit over a coffee, because I'd say my gut feeling when I hear that is maybe you've got a crucial conversation to have where that person doesn't need to be on the leadership team because you obviously don't feel really settled about it. And if you don't put them on the team, then the right thing to do is to have a crucial conversation and go there. Good luck. It's tough, but I think that's what I'd recommend. So the other part of who to put on the team, I love Patrick Lencioni's The Ideal Team Player. He basically says, hey, these are 3 characteristics that make people great on teams. If people don't have these characteristics, they're often very frustrating to have on teams. Humble. Who is it around you? Are they humble? If someone uses I built, I did, I do all the time, warning sign. So look for humility in people who are focused on others and don't think too highly of themselves. Hungry. It's very, very, very difficult to impart and empower hunger. Someone who hasn't grown up with a work ethic, who doesn't have that just inbuilt, let's just go there, let's keep going, let's push on, determination. If you see that and you go, I don't know how hungry they are, it's going to be very hard to change. So look for people who are humble, hungry, and smart. People smart is what Lencioni's talking about. Emotional intelligence. The way I like to think about this, people who don't have this at the extreme sense, you'll be standing in a group with them, they'll say something and you'll go, oh man, that is so awkward. And you look at them and they haven't realized. They're people who just accidentally trample on people all over the place or say the wrong thing and they just don't realize. Hey, that's something they can grow in. But if you're growing a leadership team, someone who's not people smart is going to be likely to create some issues, and it's probably going to be a lot of hard work. So if you can find people that are humble, hungry, and people smart, then that's great. We'll talk about values in a second, which is the other part of who to put on the team, but I'll get there. Okay, thirdly, I want to talk to you about preparing your team, your wider team for transition. I've learned that, it's really best not to overpromise and say, hey everyone, nothing's going to change. We're just going to keep going. Everything's good. Nothing's going to change. If you see change ahead, if you don't have a leadership team, you're watching this and you're freaking out because you're listening to this going, that's what I need to do. I've got these 20 volunteers and I just need to build a leadership team. Then I just want to say to you, prepare your team. Give a concrete time frame. If 3 months, or if you're coming towards mid-year or the end of the year, end of term, however your ministry works, then give everyone a heads up. Hey, I see, as a leader, I just want to let you guys know, I see some change happening at the end of term, 3 or in 6 months, in 3 months. I just want to prepare you for it. You're going to have to field a lot of questions. People are going to need to be okay with, I don't know, watch how people react. This is going to really tell you a lot about what sort of people, you might not want to have on your team or you do want to have on your team. But I think it's always best to say, well, I think we're going to see some change. Prepare for it. As part of that, I'm going to be building a leadership team. I'll talk to you guys more about it. And if you think someone's going to be, once again, really disappointed not to be on the leadership team and they might quit, throw a tantrum and get out, do you really want that person on your leadership team? I think that's a really good question to ask. Something I haven't talked about as you prepare transition, how many on a leadership team? Okay, on the actual leadership team, less than 10. So if you've got a leadership team of 15 right now, you've probably got all sorts of issues because, man, that's too many people in one room to really be an effective leadership team. So 3 to 10, that's what Patrick Lencioni says. I love his thoughts on everything to do with leadership teams in particular. So I think that's a really good guide. Keep in mind as you go up, so you've got 4, maybe you're thinking of having 7 people on your leadership team or 8. Every extra person is like an exponential increase in investment and work for you as a leader. So a team of 4 compared to a team of 7, that team of 7 is going to take way more time and effort for you to lead because you've got 7 people in the room that you really want to be investing in. So it's okay. It's not about having a small team. It's about having the right team. Just be aware. The bigger your team is, the more investment is going to be required. So we said, do you need a leadership team? We talked about who to have on your team. Thirdly, we said, hey, prepare your team for transition. Fourthly, I would say vision, vision, vision. People don't volunteer because they want to see a certain number. People don't volunteer because they're really passionate, if you're a staff member or a volunteer, because they really want to help you. People volunteer because of passion. So as a leader, you want to articulate the vision, the why, the purpose of the ministry or the church, the organization you're a part of. Find out what is the why. Even if it's a really basic, simple purpose, just talk about that all the time. Find people who share that in common with you, who are really passionate about that, and then talk about it all the time until, I remember one time, one of our young people when I was youth pastor said to me, Jono, just want to let you know this whole, and he described our vision for youth ministry. We get it. You talk about it all the time. I had a chat with some leaders after that, and I said, you know what? Some people might think that's a negative because he's like, seriously, that's enough. I actually found it because I believe so much in vision. I found that as an encouragement to go, I think we're talking about it enough, and we can probably strip it back a bit, change it up, yes. But I think it's a good sign when someone can articulate the vision. One of our people in the ministry can articulate the vision that clearly. That's awesome. So vision, vision, vision. Why? Purpose. Talk about it. You want your leaders, you want to be talking about it with them, believing it. You want to be communicating it. Read about vision. Learn about vision. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. Go for it. That's going to just light your people on fire. And make sure it's the authentic vision and purpose. And ask yourself, are you bought into that vision and purpose? Because if you're not, then inauthenticity in this area is not going to serve you well. So make sure you're passionate about what you're doing and you can explain that. The fifth one is values. So I mentioned this before. Yes, you want to look for people who are humble, hungry, and people smart, but you also want to articulate what makes you unique as an organization, as a team, and you want to find people who embody those things. Let me give you an example. Clarity. Well, I've articulated Clarity's values, and one of the things for us is work-life balance. What this means for me is if I was looking at people to join my leadership team, I would be looking for people who share a value and a behavior in how they live life, a work-life balance. Someone who wants to work 100 hours a week, there's nothing wrong with that. They can go for it. But we're going to clash, because if they're on my leadership team with me in Clarity, because work-life balance is so important to me, and it's who I am and it's who Clarity is, I need to look for people proactively who embody that value. So for me, I'd be looking for humble, hungry, people smart, work-life balance, and other values. So use your values, either your wider church, organization, use your values to look for people who embody those things. And that's going to be a great start. So that's the fifth thing. And then the sixth thing is really about a top priority. And you're going to meet with your leadership team. And the first thing, apart from sharing vision and you've looked for people with the right values, and you want to be talking about these things and use them as a lens all the time just because they're so powerful. But people are going to want to get practical, you know. So what do you want to do? Articulate a top priority. Spend some time looking at the next 3 months, 6 months, year with your leadership team. Carve out a couple of hours and go, what's our top priority? If we could only do one thing in the next 12 months, what's most important right now? And if you can build your team based on these 6 ideas and have a top priority that you're revisiting by meeting with them regularly, then you're going to be just way ahead.